start the content today. Let's start with some general topics to wait for the rise to come. Okay, so I put a topic here. Today we continue with more advanced type of optimization, but those will be very useful in your projects. Some of you might have used this before. We're creating the individual projects and see some very interesting topics down here, like multi-objective optimization. In many scenarios, real-world case, we are not just one objective oriented. You want to earn more money, you want to get more flexibility, you want to pursue freedom. All those are objectives evaluated to optimize in the single decision-making process. So we will talk about the multi-objective optimization first. And also we add some brief discussion in the second half on stochastic programming. Just note that this one stochastic programming, when we just read by its name, it means we consider, instead of so far we have all been considering the problems without uncertainty. So later on we will introduce what are uncertainties. So some of the numbers, they could be within a range, or sometimes with a probability to be some value. So those are the uncertainties we will start to take into account if we want to study stochastic programming. So these are quite advanced level optimization problems. We put them together because we just briefly go through those topics to introduce what they are and some methods that can be used to solve those. But when you use that in practice, in application, you can quickly use the knowledge learned in class and Google to find the corresponding tools that can help you to realize this. Even the stochastic programming itself in business school, it will be one semester course. So it's really a huge topic because in financial investment, business management, they have a lot of uncertainties, stochastics, parameters of things. So they will learn the whole thing using a long semester. But now we just quickly go through it. Some of you may take the class here, like Professor Melvin saying, right? If you have double degree, it's another class learned from the business school. So here we just give you a very basic sense why we need to care about uncertainties in the problem. And again, because this class, second half, we have some of the interaction sessions. And I got some requests from you about the quiz. So because we said initially the quiz time will be next Tuesday, right? Next Tuesday will be so after the quiz, we still have 2 classes to talk about machine learning and the general AI methodologies, and the last class will be used for your group project presentation. So that's the schedule. But I got some requests to say next week is a terrible time because it's your exam project due. So I don't know if you want to have a vote, because it's a bit unfair if I just change time based on 1 or 2 requests. Some other students might have already scheduled other things. So, but I don't want to disappoint you, so I made this link. Let me know your opinion. If most of you prefer a different time of quiz, we can then switch. Since we already booked the room, so we must decide today. Right, so it's the same slide though. If you enter it, you can see the choice. You can choose both, but I prefer you choose one per time. But know that if we do the quiz after next week, what we learn next week will also be tested. So it is a global optimization, simulated annealing, genetic algorithm. But that's how we make it fair. Okay, so you go to this link and choose your preferred quiz time. You can it's also a Q&A platform. So again, like before, you can make your questions and answer there and complaints if you really have any. I understand that the quiz will not be difficult. It's just still similar level as last time. I believe last time, as long as you come to class and see the concepts well, you'll get almost full marks, right? So the quiz will cover until what we learned today for MOO, multi-objective optimization, and stochastic programming. If it's on next week, And if it's extended to 1 week later, we might add 2 questions on genetic algorithms, simulated annealing, because these are very important. I also want to extend because then we can have 2 questions testing on that. Those are very important optimization skills when you use to solve larger scale problem. Those global optimization of sometimes using the heuristic or nature-inspired algorithms will do quite a good job. So if you have computer have preference, you can choose the time, and also do Q&A here. Later on when we do group projects, you can ask any questions on the Slido, and we will answer you there. Okay, so that's the outline for today. We finish a recap, and then move to multi-objective optimization. So here we give you, it's kind of move, we'll give you the, any questions? Any questions for now? No? Okay, we continue for MOO. All right? We give definitions first and show you some examples and the solving methods. So like the 3 most commonly used methods. In your individual projects, many of you use those already. The weighted sum, epsilon constraints, goal programming, or very effective algorithm if we have more than 1 objective. And also in the stochastic programming, we will introduce what are uncertainties, and also the definition, modeling. And then from almost 8, we will move to the group project discussion. So I hope today each group has been able to determine a topic from the discussion. Let's quickly do a recap again. So we use one class to quickly go through integer programming. So we say that, but most cases we evaluate it. We only introduce how to solve MILP. So this is mixed integer linear programming. It's still the linear programming problem, LP problem, plus we add some integer variables. So it has sum of all the decision variables. So it's the X, all the decision variables are sum of the decision variables are restricted to be integer value. So those are the definitions. So we have the pure integer programs, all the variables are integers, or we have the mixed integer, typically MILP, mixed integer linear programming. So it's more straightforward to see from the figure. Originally you have the linear programming with the objective and the constraints are all the straight lines in the 2D space. But now it's no longer the continuous variable, you have the integer. It's either the normal integer variables or the binary variables to be 0 and 1. So those are the integer programming. And if it's nonlinear, the original problem plus integer, then it becomes MILP. So we can represent the integer variables using the integer programming way. Right, so these are very useful. Most cases now, if we want to model some design problem, optimize the operation is commonly used because you can use the integer, like to say how many units you will choose, how many, when you design a molecule, how many certain chemical groups you want to add to your molecular simulation. So you will use integer variables to determine how many items you add to your optimization. So you optimize it, and those can only be the discrete integer variables. And also the special case is, but very, very powerful, is the binary variables. Binary means 0 or 1. So they are used to model the decisions, right? When use optimization is most commonly used to help us do decision making. So if you model your yes to be 1, no to be 0, you will be able to see how the system will be designed with this component or not, with this connection or not. So that will be your decision variable to model the logic decisions. All right, so that's an integer programming definition. And then we introduce the branch and bound method. So you may overlook some of the details, but the general idea should be clear. It's like how you relax your integer problem to be an LP first, to be for MILP, you relax the integer to make it a normal linear programming. Because you do the relaxing, so it will, if it's a minimization, it will then give you a lower upper bound. Again, this is important question. If you relax the problem, you will get a more promising solution. Because you relax the constraint zone, you relax certain constraints, so you will get a better solution than your real solution. So if it's minimization, then it might be the lower solution you get if you relax the problem. So you get this initial solution and then start with this relaxed solution to further do the branch. If you remember, this is show the special case to do the binary, but remember the last slides when we use the integer variables, when we do the branch, we cut the branch. So it's like the tree. You relax the problem, you get the whole tree, but the tree is over-promising. It's better than the real solution. And then you divide the tree to different branches. Remember the divide, you keep one x variable and you divide on both sides. Manually add this new constraint and then resolve the optimization on each side of the branch. And when you further converge to give you the integer solution, you end the branch. So that is the basic branch and bound method. In the binary way, it's even easier. You start by solving the relaxed problem and then adding the binary constraints because it's either 0 or 1. You just cut the branch by 0, by 1, 0, 1. So you can continue to cut the branch. But at certain branch, it will be infeasible, so you don't need to solve this branch. So this is an effective way we are able to solve the integer programming. Right, it seems you cut the branch is still enumerate all, but actually when you solve this, it just become one fixed variable and the other is LP, so it's very fast. And you don't have to exhaustively enumerate all the constraints because some branch will be infeasible. You totally cut the branch from them. Okay? So it's kind of like a sequential LP problem and generate all the bounds to animate the combinations. So this is the binary solving strategy. The branch and the bound is quite important algorithm for for integer programming. And then we spend some time introducing the modeling technique. Again, this is important when you translate the human normal language to the numeric, to mathematical or computer understandable language. You need a lot of techniques here. So these are useful techniques like using modeling with the binary variables. The binary variables are 0 and 1. Again, if you have several binary variables, you can use these equations to describe their relationship. When you code, you can also write a lot of the sentence like if, then, the for loop. Those are easier for coding, but if you model some optimization, when you write the constraints in this just as an equation, use an equation instead of showing the logic expression. It will be much more efficient in the modeling language. Right, so in this case, we introduce you to say, if I select K, and then I must select J, or if I select K, then I select J. So I can use this kind of YK minus YJ is smaller or equal than 0. So it means if I choose YK, then this YK becomes 1. Right, so because I choose it, it becomes yes option. It corresponds to YK equals 1. But because YK minus YJ is smaller or equal to 0, so YJ has to be 1, but cannot be 0. So it means if I choose YK, I must choose YJ. So this is the modeling technique. You want to see if I buy apple, I must buy higher. This will be indicated in this way. And it's easier than if you name YK equals YJ, then you select YK and then select J. It means equivalent. You must select them at the same time. Or don't select them at the same time. But these are two different logic expressions. You can think about what they represent using the two different ways. right? Because in the first case, if you don't select yk, you can still select yj, or you can decide not to select yj. But in the second case, you have to select yj if you select yk. Well, you cannot select yj if you did not select yk. So it's some logic difference here you can use to model your reasoning. And this is big M is something new, so it's so emphasized. It's big M is a magic number in modeling. When you have some bilinearity, sometimes when you have some multipliers of two decision variables, you make a system nonlinear and difficult to solve. You can consider to use this big M strategy. So it's like big positive number, a huge number. In computer, they regard it as the same, 1,000,001,000, but it's relatively bigger. So when you have this big M, you can then use the big M to represent those R or those if-then relationship very well. Okay, so again, you still remember this. You can spend a minute to remind yourself what those logic expressions are translated into a big M. Okay, makes sense to you? I see the satisfying basis. So if any concerns to try to do some reasoning, how to use the big M to model your problems is quite strong additional modeling technique to help you introduce another parameter and help you model this R relationship of two constraints or this if-then relationship. You can use this M. Big number. So this M is relatively big number. If your whole system is like between 0 to 1, your big M can be 1,000. But if your whole system is thousands, your big M must be significantly larger than it, can be million. Because this will be the number that will relax the constraint if this term is 1, right? So it will just be be introduced sometimes to make the constraint to be redundant. Okay. It's a modeling technique. We won't come in details, but it's important to understand how to use that. And then this question, facility location, again, this can be the foundation for your group project. We'll design the facility design, we'll do the urban design or supply chain design. It's normally the whole type we call facility location problem. So it's like you have N location for the facilities, and you have M plans to be serviced, while you have the fixed cost of Cj if you want to open a facility at location J, and Dij to serve client I from facility J. So it's a fixed cost plus this distance-based kind of the operating cost. And then we need to know a set of facility locations and assign each client to one facility while minimizing the total cost. So this problem we tried last week as well. You should be familiar with the formulation. How it's formulated is you want to minimize the two parts of the cost. Part one is a fixed cost about building up a facility. So it's C, but it's only related to how many locations you build a facility. So you just go through all the N locations from 1 to N. Well, the second part is the distance space. Here is transportation cost, or can be more operating cost. Well, this cost term, unit cost is Dij. Well, you decide either to build this connection. It can be whether you build this operating way. It can be a pipeline, can be a trackway, or can be just a service link. So this will be your decision variable xij then. But here we know all the xij sum goes to a j for all the I clans equals to 1. So it means each clan is only served by one location. But it must be served by one location, right? You know the model limit sum x equals 1. That means it can and only it must be served and only be served by one. And we also have this constraint. This is important because you can only have your yj. That means you build this facility, then you can have xij. You can use this j facility to serve any client. If you don't have this j facility built, then you cannot have any x connecting from this j facility. This will be 0. So we use this relationship to describe when we can serve a client from a certain location. Okay? Because here all the x and the y are the binary variables. So this is a typical facility location problem. And what is about this problem? This is the most basic setting of how we design the facility network optimization. So when you got a problem, like it is very difficult sometimes, it is very complex, you want to design a system with many functions, but you should be able to extract the information. It's similar, equivalent to this kind of problem. You have certain end users and you have certain service providers. Therefore, you use the end users to be xij to connect to all the service locations yj. Right, so this is a typical facility location problem. So last year, when we still have midterm, we gave them a question based on this to say if you have like for example, in Singapore, we need the natural gas plant, and if you have you're building the natural gas pipelines to serve all the end users, all the factories, and all the residential users. So now you only have one terminal to serve all the people on the island. If you add another terminal to serve the rest to together fill the function, how do you decide where to locate the second terminal? So this is a typical type of the design problem we have. It's still based on this type of problem, but it seems different, right? It seems like, oh, I have very realistic case now. Where do I set my second facility? But if you think further, again, this type of problem, you already have one, so you already have your facility y1 to be 1. And then you are introducing another y2. It's even easier. You don't have to consider those facilities. I tell you just one additional facility. So you can introduce another decision variable, but you do not know where it will be located. So you still may have several potential locations. Right? So you can have your y to be the decision variable to see where I put my location, which location do I put my service plant. You don't care what service this is. It can be the transportation service, can be the waste management service, can be the natural gas suppliers. So it's general, very common type of problem. Then you optimize this directly. So not a lot of students did that correctly. They just got confused by the very complex problem statement. Because your boss may not know the optimization language. They give you very realistic, real-world statement, and you should be able to extract the real useful information from that. You should know what the demand, what is the distribution of my demand. Shall I predict it from a historical trend? And then what's the existing conditions? I already have one gas plant, so this is my initial condition. And then I will build another one. So I know I only have another Y to build, but I have several candidate locations. So I choose this Y. The sum of Yj should be 1 here, because I only build one, but based on several locations. And then my objective is still to minimize fixed costs, operating costs, or if I also care about the environment. Now, because CO2 now has to be charged by some carbon price in future. So what if I want to add some environment price into my objective? I want to penalize the CO2 emissions. Then you got a very comprehensive problem. If you are able to solve that, you will provide real benefits to your plant. So this is the typical type of problem we sometimes solve for the research questions, for consulting project, for this realistic benefits relevant project. But once you optimize it, it's much better than randomly pick a location. Okay? So it's important to understand why we set these decision variables. We can also use, instead of the integer, we can also use continuous, right? If it's not just say I want to open one single plant, you can open a plant of any capacity from 0 to 100, for example, or you can then use some of the continuous variable to denote its capacity instead of its either compute 1 or not compute 1. Or if you can allow the connection, the service to be a fraction of you can allow 2 plants to serve a single final user, so you can allow the xij to be a fraction between 0 and 1. This is also possible. So this seems a basic framework, but it can incorporate many types of optimization problem you will be able to solve later. Right, so we have the code here in the facility location in MATLAB. If you use this basic framework, you'll be able to build up your problem further to the SCAM's code, further to this basic framework. And you need to incorporate a lot of cost values. It's not very easy to obtain those numbers. Those numbers, they come with stochastic. They might be random numbers. You make a lot of assumptions, but try to make it as reasonable as possible. Well, if you have existing data or from historical data, it's good. You can use it, but if not, make reasonable assumptions. And then describe all the variables. You see, you use a subscript I or J to describe the open facility location or shipment, and then describe the locations of your the total cost for both the fixed cost and the varying cost. So this is the foundation of the code part. I think this is also obtained from a library example. You can try to find this example by, if you want to use scans to model, you can then open the library, facility location, and get some example like this. More examples are quite advanced levels. It gives you a lot of different scenarios. You can also try to understand and use existing code. It's easier than building up from your original 0 blank page. Build up from examples. Okay. Any questions so far about this facility location problem? Later on group projects we can discuss more, because many of you may choose the facility location as a direction to go for your group projects. So here I also want to show you one advanced level, very complex model used in financial industry to do the portfolio optimization. So once you know integer programming, here even more advanced mixed integer nonlinear programming and INLP, you can build up a lot of the quantitative financial models. So not many people earn a lot high salary when they become a quant when they graduate, because they know the mathematical modeling. But here you can practice and show you also know the basics of how you do investment. So they now has a chance even do every investment, they will build up some quantitative model. Like this case show you if you have several securities, how do you choose your portfolio to maximize certain metrics or minimize the variance. So this is the case. Because in investment, sometimes the risk is the most important factor. So their goal is to get the variance, like the system, the different portfolio variance to be minimized. How do we define the variance? Is statistic metric they use to describe those uncertainties for each of the security. So it's not required in our course. I just want to show you how those modeling techniques are used in financial industry generally. If you want to also get more experience to do your own fund management, your own investment, you can try to optimize your portfolio based on the historical performance of the security. Right, so it's also using my live code, but this code is very well written. They can use a set. They use the ls. It means the I and G are the same site, but just different subscript. So it's a way to indicate. And then you have your objective, you have your mean return. So you want it to be a target. You can have your parameters designed with the known historical information, the mean and the variance, and then the variable will either be what's the fraction you want to invest in uncertain security, or it can be modeled as whether you invest, whether this asset is put to your portfolio or not. So this is a two-way of modeling. When you do modeling, you can make it a continuous variable. You say I want to invest 50% on this, 20% on seconds, 30% on the rest. Or you can say if this A stock is in my portfolio or not. So you can use either continuous or the binary variables to decide how your final portfolio, your basket of the stocks are. So these are modeling techniques. But when you write it down using the GAMS code, then you write the variable either on the right-hand side is a continuous. You just solve it as a nonlinear programming in the end. On the right-hand side, we show you how to solve it as a mixed integer nonlinear programming. So that's the difference for the two parts, actually two parts of the code. You can solve the first part first with the constraints to minimize the variance, or you can maximize the mean. So on the right-hand side, you can then use a different way. If you say, I only choose this or not, you can decide the binary variables and then use an NLP to solve your problem. Because if you change to another problem, if you only allow 3 assets in your portfolio, then you got each one is in or not, and the summation cannot be larger than 3. So this is how we model that kind of problem. Once you know optimization is quite useful in many of the domains. Right, so that's a review of the, then we finish talk on the linear and the integer programming. That's a basic types. You should be able to model most basic problems now. But in most cases, we don't just want one single objective, right? As we say, we have always been quite willing to obtain as many as possible in many cases. So in the real world problem, especially in engineering optimization, most problems are multi-object in nature. It's not that straightforward to give you one very determined objective. It considers many objectives. When you want to maximize your profit, you also want to minimize your risks, or you want to maximize your safety performance and reduce the environment emissions. So those are all the objectives. You want to have the good economic performance, but you also want to make the system to be safe, to be robust. So these are the kind of the trade-offs here. You want to increase the cost, but also want to increase the quality, but also decrease the cost. You want to have higher efficiency, but also want to have the portability. So these are the engineering design problem. Many times when we design a plant, we'll make your design project. You got a lot of trade-offs. If your plant is very huge, it benefits from the scale of economy, but then you don't have the nice modularized operation, don't have the possibility of flexibility. So that won't be meet the objectives. So all the time you are facing all those decisions. So sometimes when you don't know optimization, you might then choose based on their trade-off up and down, choose kind of a solution that don't return not the best, but at least to give good performance in all the dimensions. But then, if we are able to use optimization to solve that, we will clearly see the different trade-offs in a quantitative way. So that is why we use MOO to give us more insight on the optimization problem. Right, so here the notion of optimum solution will then have different definitions. It will just not be a single solution because it's kind of no single solution that is the best in all the criteria. There will always be trade-offs. Right, so it's trade-offs between the different options will then be returned from our multi-objective optimization. So it's a process, this solving for MOO is a process to analyzing the trade-offs between the objectives. Okay, so last time we used this example, right? We used it to introduce an integer to see if you only have a bag and you can only have one or two items based on the weight limit, how do you solve that? So before we have the objective, we want to maximize the overall profit because each item, they have a weight, but they also have a profit. This is like you go into, just like a game when you enter a store, I have those items for you, and then you try to maximize your profit from those bag of items. Which one do you pick? Right. I hope you pick the optimization book, but most case, it's not a rational case, right? Only if the knowledge is very expensive, you will maximize your profit by picking the book. But even then, you won't pick the beer. But if you have other criteria about happiness, you might make different choices there. But that's a case we did for a single objective. If we want to maximize overall profit, we can write it down, right? Because we know for each item it has a single profit multiplied by the quantity we choose. But we have a weight limit, it's a constraint. The total weight has to be smaller equal than the upper limit. And before it's integer, so for each one, it's only we choose it or not. But then in this case, still if I have this back, I no longer do this kind of the maximization single objective. I want to maximize the overall profit and minimize the overall weight at the same time. You can also maximize your happiness from those products. You can have as many objectives as possible. But think about it, if I have currently those two objectives, how do I solve my optimization problem then? How do I can rewrite the mathematical formulation? To rewrite it, what it's like? Right? Are also able to solve it if in this way. So this already we say this brings a concept of MOO, but how do we write it? So actually you don't have to, as before, write one single objective to maximize something and subject to something. Again, here in the problem, you can write two objectives. It will be maximize one thing and minimize the other. Maximize the total profits. Right? We use I, VI, XI, sum from I equals I. So you can directly write, I want to maximize my total profits and then minimize my total weights. This is fun. Just write down your two objectives in the problem. So these are the multi-objectives. If you have more, you can write in other format. Or if you want to use a consistent format, you can choose to write minimize, put this together. Because maximize is one objective is to minimize the negative of it. Right? So you can minimize negative. Profit. And write a comma to indicate second objective. So it's a way to write the expression how to solve such optimization. Of course, you still have your constraints, but here it's very simple. We don't have more constraints other than xi is a binary variable. So this is a problem in the mathematical expression found, and following the algorithm, we can further solve it. Right, so based on the example, the standard form is also similar. You can write the standard structure of MOO. If we form it as a continuous optimization, then we can write it as minimizing a series of objectives. We can have several. We can have more than 2, 3, until k objectives. You can write in all the objectives in the bracket by changing the sign to minimize all the objectives. And also you have the constraints as a normal single objective. This can be the system constraints to indicate.
I'm having a problem with the connection. Please try again in a while.
Is this very normal? It's not to us, right? All right. Okay. Hopefully. Someone monitoring. Big boss is watching. Okay. So to continue, we still keep the constraints, right? The inequality constraints for some resource limits, the equality constraints for all the process patterns, so this is still the same. But in a standard way, you have more than one objective. So here again, think about how many x. X is still the decision variables. We can have one single variable to make the decision, or it's normally a vector of decisions, so it can be x1 to xm. And the continuous discrete variables are all acceptable. The MOO is just like a structure to define we have more than one objective. But for the decision variables, they can still, like we learned before, can be continuous, can be discrete, can be binary. Right, but here for each solution x in the decision variable space, means this feasible range, feasible to the constraints. That's a decision variable space. There is a point in the objective space denoted by z equals fx including zi. So this is a difference because for each x now, you no longer return only one objective z. You have a series of objectives. So here actually try to write this as total k, right? We have x1 until f1 until fk. So you have k objectives. This forms together your objective space. That is the formulation standard structure. But based on this, is several definition here. This is something new, maybe very, again, some terms you will never use before. But this, we call it Pareto optimum. So what does it mean? Because now you make decisions, it's no longer this one single decision. It will be a series of decisions. If it's like one single, you can have one book and one beer to be very fulfilled, very happy in learning and get good profits and ways. Or you can have one computer and one camera to be very good in the value and good in the, but very heavy in the ways. So those combinations, like in the previous example, they can be different combination, and they are not. You don't have a decision to say this decision is better than the other, because this one that might be more value, but the other option is lighter, or the other option brings you more happiness if you put happiness as an objective in the optimization. So in this case, there will be no decision, no single decision X that will be the single optimum. You will have a series of options. But here the options, as they say, the X are decision variable, a point X, or X star here as a specific point. We say it's a weak Pareto optimum. So Pareto is actually an Italian mathematician's name. So in mathematics, they normally use name to name some concepts. So it's very proud. So but we have to remember those names to say the Pareto optimum. If we say it's a weak Pareto optimum or weak efficient solution for this MOO problem, if and only if there is no feasible solution such that if I x is smaller than if I x star for all the I in the series of the f objectives. So what does this mean? And look at the definition 2 together. We say that this is a strict Pareto optimum, or strict efficient, if and only if there is no feasible solution such that this solution is smaller or equal than the optimal solution. Is this correct? So here, if we say it's a minimize our maximization problem, right? Original problem is we want to minimize the function. So here you think about the minimization way. Right? That makes sense. You need a bit logic thinking. You want to minimize your f, or the fi. So the smaller the better. Right? But if all the solutions are not smaller than this one. So this is kind of an optimal solution. Let me check. Do you think this should be weak or this should be strict? A should be strict or B should be strict? It might be an error here. Because when I see this, I don't think this makes full sense. Okay, give me any opinion about which is weak, which is strict. Any opinions? Should we reverse, right? Or no? Any opinions? What? Can I give some reasons about it? You try to convince me, because I think we all debate on this before, so I try to get some opinions from you as well.
For definition 1, it can be equals or more than the fi can be. it can be more or equals to that solution. It cannot be. Wait, what is it? It can be equal to that solution, whereas the definition 2 cannot be equal. So definition 2 is in a way stricter. So because like the definition 1, there might be other solutions that is like, let's say Fix star is like 2. Fix can also be 2, whereas the other one cannot. So definition 2 is stricter in a sense.
Right. Agree? Okay. I think here's different opinions, right? I think this is correct. You agree with this or not? I see you thought this is not correct. Or is it correct? So think about this. Which one is more strict? Right, so try to understand this. Right. So I think he says in a very convincing way. So in the first one, you can have the other, right, that can be smaller. But in the first case, it asks no solution that can be smaller, but it can be equally good solution, right? Because it's just only smaller, so they can be an equal sign here. So if a solution B is equal to this solution star, that means these two solutions are equally good. So no need of considering the standards, they're equally good. So this is a weak Pareto. They cannot be like absolutely good, but just equally good. And second one, it means all the solutions, they just, this one is overcoming the other solution. So it's a strict Pareto. Right. So this is a very strict definition. The first one is called weak. So it's a bit difficult to understand, but you can just think about without the equal sign, it means the other solutions can be equally good to this one. Because we have objective, they can be better in this objective and worse in other objective. Or they can be two equally give you the same objective value, so they're equally good. But the definition 3 is even more important to be used. So a point x1 is said if it says weakly dominate another solution x2. So dominate is a good way when we make decisions. We want to make a dominating solution that is the best in all the aspects, but in many cases it's not possible. But we say if x1 is weakly dominating the other solution, if this x1 is no worse than x2 in all the objectives, so it means at least no worse than. So it's a lot of these logic expressions, so we'll think about it, try to make it correct. So it's no worse than means equally good or better. Right, so this x1, two solutions. x1 can be equally good or better than x2. But at least x1 is better than x2 for at least one objective. Because if they're all equally good, in all objectives, you won't say it dominates the other one. They can be the weak Pareto optimal, but it's not dominating. You must have at least one objective for which x1 is strictly better than x2. So it's x1 and x2 are two solutions, basically, two solution sets. But x1 is strictly better than x2 in one objective. So if I choose this one, must be either more profitable or more has less weight. So these are the dominating vector. So think about these definitions. When we see some examples later, we can get more sense of what they mean. And so if we have the case, we want to buy a car, when we want to decide which car to buy, we have the two considerations. I want to minimize the cost of course I want to get as cheaper as possible, but also I want to maximize the safety level. Right, so in this case, your cost, you can write as minimize the cost and minimize the minus safety, negative safety. So it means you want to minimize negative safety, it means you want to maximize the safety level. And in this case, we write the problem statement. Your parameters, which are given, are known, are the cost of the car. Each car, you have M choices, for example, and you have cost for each car. And then you have the safety level for each car as well. So we indicate that by C and S. And then we are able to get the total cost and the total safety level. Right. Why do we write in this way? Because we want to make a choice. Right, so we put the y, I to be 0 or 1. I make y from how many options do I have? 10 options, but I can only buy one car among the 10 options. So I have my total sum of yi equals to 1. I only buy one car, but I want to make the decision. So in this way, they have it's also modeling the mixed integer. Right, so you sum them together. If they are 0, then you don't buy it. They won't contribute to the cost or safety. This is a way to model to combine the integer programming with a multi-objective. Right, so before we see how do we solve it, we should get a more straightforward understanding to see what the problem mean, right? How do they form? So this figure gives you a sense. So figures are more straightforward. When you want to make a decision, you try to understand from this direct visualization. So this gives you the cars from the minimize the cost of Toyo car to a normal Toyota or some Honda, from the cost lower to some fancy Ferrari car or to some SUV, and further to a tent if we want to increase the budget. So this way, there's a cost. You can draw your solutions based on how much it costs. If you look up, the cost is higher. Not sure if a tent is more expensive than a F150 car. But you got some solution here, right? But along the way, you see, if they are placed here, probably a Toyota and a Honda, they cost the same. So they don't have any difference in cost. Right, so here it's the same cost level. Probably a fancy SUV, the same as a normal sports car. So it's the same level. But then you're able to see the cost. But you also evaluate the safety, right? A tall car or poor car has a low safety level. You continuously increase the safety level until you reach a military tank. So the fancy car there is good looking, but the safety level is just the same probably as a Toyota car. So this is a way why we have different decisions, because there are trade-offs. We will draw your solutions and here my decisions, each one is 0 or 1, 0 or 1. Do I choose this or not? Depending on the two criteria, cost and safety. Right, so when you want to make the decisions, you want to find the Pareto. The Pareto means the possible solutions, as they say. It can be the strong Pareto or the weak Pareto or the strict Pareto. But you want to draw this Pareto, we call it Pareto frontier, to be the series of efficient solutions. So these are the efficient solutions. They can be the strong, can be the weak, but they are together the efficient solutions. So this should be the car at the boundary conditions. Right? If we define the first way to solve optimization, we need to find the feasible solutions based on the constraints. The first step is always to find the feasible region. So if I say I want to get a super safe car at the time, but super low cost. Sorry, it's infeasible. It's not available in the market. You cannot pay $1,000 to get a super safe car, so it's infeasible space here, not available. But then if you want to pay higher and you don't care about safety, you can get this super fancy car with just very unsafe conditions. It's also possible because this is a feasible market. So your Pareto curve is kind of a first boundary for the infeasible and feasible solutions. But all the feasible solutions may not be efficient solutions. If you pay pay 1 million and got a very good looking car, but they are not safe at all. So the safety is also measured by the manufacturer by some quantitative way. So they're able to tell the safety level. So that means it's feasible, but to your two criteria, they're not efficient because you can use similar budget, similar cost to find a safer car for the same price. Right, so you can always go for this. If you have a budget like this, you can always go for a 10. So that's a part. This region is suboptimal, or it's insufficient, inefficient based on your two criteria. So this curve, why we call it a Pareto curve, really means this is a frontier or a surface. We find our efficient solution. So some of them are weakly dominating each other, but some of them are strongly dominating. But this curve together, all the solutions in between of the feasible and infeasible solutions are defined as a Pareto frontier. Okay? And then based on this, how do we make the final decision? We can then analyze the further details, right? Still based on this figure, we now know that. Let's say if we got a point X star to be a weak Pareto optimum, as we just said, or weak efficient solution, if and only if there is no feasible solution X such that this solution is better than my solution. So can I find such solution? It means that no other solution is better, but this might be other solutions that are equally good, right? So if I again look at this frontier, I want to find a weak Pareto optimum solution. Which one is a weak one? Although they are all on the frontier, they are all efficient, but there is a weak one. So we identify this car, right? So this guy, if you look at him, this car together with this, it's costs the same, right? So it also costs like probably how much is this car? Is a Honda normal car. How much is it here? No idea. Well, 150 something probably. But they're almost the same, right? Almost the same price. But the safety of this is worse than its peers. Probably one Honda, one Toyota, not sure, but they're almost the same price, but one safety is worse than the other. So it means this one is, although it's equally good in one criteria, but for the other it's not better. So this will be a weak Pareto optimal on this frontier. It's how we define it. We won't choose it if we have this option. Right, but at the same time, because it is weak, then this will become a strict Pareto optimal. This will be our choice. We will always choose a strict Pareto optimum. So you can always find this is better than all the other choices. So we would like to choose this solution. This is again the definition. But then if we see how do we see weakly dominate another solution, then we can find these options if they are again compare this choice car to this one and to this one. You can see if they are weakly dominating or strongly dominating. So if we compare those two, okay, this one is no worse than this in all the criteria. And better than 8 than at least 1. So it meets all the criteria of this. But because it has one criteria, they're the same. For the cows, they're the same. So we can only say it's weakly dominating the other option. So it's how we determine two options. But if you compare this car with the fancy sports car, it has both lower cost and higher safety. Because we only have these two criteria, and this choice is better than this in both criteria. So we say it strongly dominates the other one. So this is the definition of the solution. This will be used when you analyze your solution, because when you do MOO, you have multiple solutions. You won't always return one single solution. What you return is always like a Pareto curve like this. And this is the time you analyze these solutions and see which is more effective. Okay. Any questions on this so far we can? Right, so this is a concept how we introduce the Pareto optimum and efficient solutions. So when you solve the real problem, just remember that the algorithm of solutions will give you the set of possible solutions, and they are not necessary to be like they are at least all the efficient solutions, but one might be the strongly dominating the other insufficient solutions, but one might be weakly dominating the other insufficient solution. You won't like to choose this if you have only two criteria. You will only make your choice along the efficient frontier.
Sorry. For the other cars, are they considered as strict Pareto optimum?
Which one?
Like the other cars.
The other cars, you can think about it. It's a good question. So for those, for example, a tank, will you consider it as a strict Pareto optimum? Anyone can answer? Should be yes or no? Yes, right? Because on the Pareto you can see this is car dominating already. It has the best, if we only consider has the best safety level, and this, because we only list, it's kind of in this question we give you the discrete solutions. So it's only listed those several possible solutions. So in those we would say this is at the strict Pareto from here. Right, just because here we have the same house ones, so we have to compare them as weak as our strict. But for the others, they're the only choice at the same cost level, so they are the strict ones. That's a very good point. Okay, so based on this example, we'll see. You can take the abstract model based on this real example, right? When you draw the solution space, we normally just write it as a possible space. So we respect the person who invented the concept of Pareto curve. So these are Pareto optimal solutions. If we have this solution set, because MO always give us a solution set. It's non-dominated solution set. If we have this, all the solutions within the set are not dominated by each other. So if we go back to the previous example, all the sites, all the options are not dominated by the other solutions. In this case, we will call them the Pareto optimal set. Right, so if you go back to this case, so here we say non-dominated. We might say, if we go back, then because this one is quickly dominating the other one, so we won't carry it in account this. We might have this curve again to be our Pareto optimal set. That incorporates all the solutions. And then its boundary defined by this set of all the points will be defined as a Pareto optimal front. So it's like if you have the solution space, feasible solution space, and it corresponds to all the objectives, because all your objectives are a series of objectives. You won't have one single. So you can also plot your function, your objective function space, and then draw this Pareto optimal set to get this Pareto optimal front. Again, so in this case, we want to correlate this to the car example. This is already the solution. So this is the original X. If you have a series of X, this describes the feasible region of your X. So if it has certain constraints, you got feasible region of X. Well, this one is already the Fx. So it can be the same thing in the cows as we just showed before. And then you got your Pareto optimal front. Here we call it specially optimal front. About a series of the solutions correspond to the feasible solutions. So this is just a concept. We will show that you will automatically get these Pareto optimal solutions. But then we understand the MO will not always get one solution. It's always a series, and we define them as a Pareto optimal front, or efficient solution set. But how do we solve that? It seems for those kinds of problem, no way to solve it. For one objective, we got a lot algorithm, but for two, how do we solve that? So this relates to how you develop the algorithms then. It's a solution method. It will also be linked to how you solve the previous example we showed before. But now this is another layer, another step. How you change MOO to one single objective to solve, or how do you do some iterations to solve the problem, to get this front. So there will be some methods to solve this. So here we give you three general methods that will be very effective. The first one is just called a weighted sum. So it's by meaning just you add a weighting factor and then get its scalarization. This is a quite straightforward way. It's also commonly used. So how do we do that is we want to solve the MOO by solving the single objective problem instead. Right, so back to the problem. If I have two objectives, then you can add two weights, W1 and W2. So by adding these weights, multiply the weights with the function value. So with the function value, note here is Wi multiplied by Fi. So the Wi-Fi here will give you the single objective value. We'll sum them together, you got one value. But you consider all the objectives already. So when you think about realize it, this is probably your possible combination. then you add the weighted sum of the two. Right, but how do we decide the weights then? Is that a typical example, right? So here is actually two thinking methods. So one way is, instead of modeling it as an MOO, you can model it as a weighted sum problem. Right? If I make my decision to buy a car, I know that I care most about the budget and a little bit about the safety. If you have already got the rationale, you can model this problem as MOO, but when you put it in a mathematical format, you actually write it as such format with a defined weights, because you know it's okay. The cost accounts for 70% and the safety accounts for 30%. But in this case, although it's easier to solve, but you should pay attention to the scaling problem. So if I say cost, and I want to minimize my cost and minus safety, right? And I can directly write it as I say to sum them together. I can write it as 50% or 70%, I say it's more important, of cost plus the 30% of minus safety. Is this correct? Can I directly write my objective like this? What's missing here? So one tricky point here is your cost can be from 10,000 to 10 million, for example. Well, your safety is defined as 0 to 10, right? You directly write it in this way. 30% is 0.7, 30% is 0.3. You got this difficulty that this part is too small compared with this part. That's why this method is also called scalarization. So we want to solve those, add something together, you need to normalize it as well. So a common strategy you can then is to divide this by the range, right? You can divide this by these different ways of normalization. You can divide this by the maximum of the value, or you can divide that by the maximum minus minimum, like the 10 million minus 10,000. And also use the cost here to minus the minimum. Or you can directly use the cost to divide it by maximum. So these are all different normalization ways. But it's very important for modeling, right? Because if you think about this, then you turn this to a kind of a percentage to see within this minimum to maximum range how much percentage it is. Of course, you need to do the second objective in the same way, right? You know its minimum is 0, the total range is 10 minus 0. You should do the same way. Sorry, here should be minus 10. So this is the way how we normalize. When we model it, if you want to directly add two objectives together, you can normalize them first and then add some of the weighting factors. Those weighting factors can be easier than just be 0 to 1 or 0 to 100%. This is one way. Or you can think in another way, you can also add the weighting factors. Because the first one value is big, then the weighting factor is small. The second weighting value is relatively small, so the weighting factor you can multiply it by a big value. In this case, you can also normalize it. But the target is that don't like one term to be significantly smaller than the others. you need to always consider the relative scale to make them also contribute. Really, the weighting factor should play a role to decide how much the relative importance, how much you look upon this each object. Okay? So this is a modeling way to use the weighting factor to form it as a weighted sum problem. But actually, if you just want to solve in a numeric way, so this is the one way, right? We can directly turn the two objectives by sum them together to be one. So then I got a single objective. I can use any of the technique I already learned before to solve this as a normal optimization. But also you can directly solve this as a weighted sum through computer, which means through computer iteration. Computer can help you try different weights, right? So you don't have to really define based on your personal experience to define this as my weights. You can try different ways and then get this Pareto curve. Because if you decide your weights already, you will just get one solution, right? Because it's single objective, you might just go to one either local or global optimal. But if you want to get the Pareto curve, how do you do that? You should do different combination of the weights. So these weights can be based on your experience or can be just by computer iteration. You don't care what it means, just iteratively change the W numbers, and you can do thousands rounds of iteration and compare the optimal result, return the results from solving the single objective and compare them. Okay? So that is straightforward. Just I try my W1 from 0.1, 0.2 until certain value, and W2 at the same time to iterate. So in computer's way, this is very efficient. It's a simple algorithm because you just linearly combine them by making the weighted sum. But this method has a lot of disadvantage as well, right? So first, it's very difficult to cite the weighting factors or the weighting vectors to obtain the Pareto optimal solution in a desired range, in a desired region in the objective space. So it's because you need to do a lot of iteration. So this iteration may not reach your desired solution. For example, here, if you know your feasible solution is some weird shape, like this kind of case. If it's normally this convex shape, then you do the weighting of the two objectives, you might reach some solutions. But if it's a lot of this kind of the concave or different, even discontinuous some space, it's quite difficult. You can use the weighting of the two objectives to get this solution. Because you kind of try to vary the weighting factors in a continuous way. So it will be very numerically challenging. So it's like in this case, if it's non-convex, right? If it's convex, then very naturally make the combination and get the two objectives. But if it's non-convex case, it's not able to find the Pareto optimal case in many situations. Because if you add them two objectives together, and if your Pareto optimal from actually is not on the combination of these two, it's very challenging to really find the solutions on this concave case. So these are some limitations of the weighted sum methods. But still it is most commonly used, as it's easier to understand, and it's can directly linked to our knowledge. If you have some preference of weights already, because sometimes you already know how much significance you link to each objective. You can directly model this by adding the weighting factor. Instead of solving it to get Pareto front, you can directly give several solutions. That's not by solving it, just add your human experience before you solve the MOO. But then I also want to show you some other methods. So like another one called the epsilon constraint method. So this one is quite a different approach, but it's also efficient to solve. If you really have MOO and you don't know how do you put the weights to turn that to a single objective, just want to solve the multi-objective and get get some efficient solutions. Then you can do this way. You can keep one of the objective and then restrict the rest of the objectives as constraints. But this constraints is bounded by some allowable levels, epsilon m. So you should define this epsilon m as when you use computer, you can start with some epsilon value. This can be iterating as well. You can choose any allowable level. But just like if you know your F1, you know I want to minimize my cost, but my safety level must be smaller, equal, or here should be my negative safety level should be smaller or equal than -5, for example. So I must have a larger than 5 safety. But in this case, you are able to then found this again. You just keep one objective and leave the rest to constraints. It seems you kind of relax the problem, but when you do the iterating process, because you won't fix the epsilon at just 5, you will try 5 first, you might try 6 later, and then 7. You can do this, computer can do this iterative computing, and then give you a set of solutions, and then compare the solution to see if they are dominated by each other. If they're not, you put it in the efficient solution. So this is the computer logic. Still, you do a lot of different trial and error. But if you know already, I just want to get a larger than 5 security level, you can directly make a single objective. But if you don't know, you still want to see several options, you can then use this way to do the computing. So the key thing here is you repeat with different value of this epsilon. Okay? So the advantage of this case is this time we are able to solve the non-convex, because every time I still have only consider one dimension, but the rest I am able to set different epsilon by solving that. So it gives me the solution, gives me all the efficient solution on the part of the curve. Right? But what's the disadvantage? Because now we introduce another epsilon vector. So this epsilon vector has to be chosen carefully, so that it is within this range. It is within the maximum or maximum value of the range. Because in the simple case, to choose a car, I know the safety level is 0 to 10. But in many cases, you don't know your range of the objective. Right? So if you choose that, you have to be carefully choose this epsilon m. Or if the range is very large, then you have to choose a lot of the epsilon value in order to give you some efficient solution. So this method seems very promising, but it can be very time-consuming. It's normally very slow. When we solve it for large-scale problem, we have to wait for a couple hours to get several efficient solutions. But it seems more rigorous than the weighted sum method, because you really do some iteration of different value of the epsilon m. Right? So this is a good option. We prefer to use this method actually. Again, although we don't care, when we don't care about the time, we just want to do some one round of optimization. You can wait and try the iterative way. Alright, so last method we introduced is called the goal programming. So this is quite complex. So I won't talk about details here, but this is also in development stage. Some papers use this method. So this goal programming attempts to find a solution as close as possible to specific goal value of the objective function. So in this case, it really means we got a set of objective, and then I want to get one objective to be closer to a desired value. So you can also think about it's like you add one, although it's still MOO, but one objective, you want it to be closer to a certain goal here. So this is a bit complex because you want to define this goal then, and then get this go together to kind of to introduce the difference between your objective value and the target value, the goal. right? And also you need to introduce the additional variable here. Besides your goal, you need to describe the difference. And also it's an iterative processing. Still similar as the epsilon, but here instead of you make the value to directly constraint, you make it to be the difference of the objective and the goal. I want to make my safety level as close as possible to safety level 5. So it's this kind of specified problem you can still use this. Right, so here is more useful when you know a clear objective for a certain f. But if you don't have that, you don't know that how to define the goal, it will be very difficult to solve. And you don't know really the trade-offs because you focus on certain goals here. So we don't commonly use this goal programming. But some people say they have tried this to show them if you know clearly objectives, you can try this method. Okay? So the weighted sum and the epsilon constraints are two most commonly used, but this is also a possible solution. So we won't touch the details here to give you more solution procedure. But all the solving steps, why we focus on the MOO, we don't just want to solve very complex optimization problem. By the end of the day, the goal is for decision making. We want to solve optimization to support us to choose some options to make the decisions. So here in the decision making space, we will call this type of problem as multi-criteria decision making. So it's also, actually this decision making is also a huge branch about artificial intelligence. To tell people what is AI? AI actually not just includes what we normally use, the machine learning, deep learning. Even the decision making through optimization is regarded as one branch of general AI. So we use that every day. We use the computer to help us make the multi-criteria decision making. Okay? So just quick look at this because this links to how you analyze your optimization results. After you solve the multi-objective optimization, you get a set of Pareto optimal alternatives. But then which optimal solution should I choose? I got the set of the optimal solutions. Which one should I use? So this is then the MCDI, multi-criteria decision making. Right, so the first step is then you can solve the MOO to get a set of solution, and then based on your further preference, you can compare them, how efficient they are, and choose some of the desired solution, not limited to one, you can choose several. So MOO is a more straightforward computing. But in further, you can extend that to more decision-making strategy. If you get all those, you can then, like by your knowledge to choose one, but you can also use some of the methods. So these are not our focus for this class, but want to let you know, at this stage, you can have a series of decision-making tools as well. So those are some methods we list here. This will be very interesting. It's also a lot of research questions around it. For example, the data envelopment analysis. After you've got the decisions, you are able to analyze how efficient each decision is by comparing like a kind of an envelope to incorporate to define the efficiency. And then some of the fuzzy methods is also interesting. We can briefly talk about fuzzy methods later. It's like you use kind of the fuzzy logic system to then give some randomness to the system and then make the decision. But this whole thing is a big branch of AI, so it's a lot of researchers working in this field. That's how the MOO is like a simple first step to give you a solvable way to give some solutions. But still the solution space is big. You need to make the final solution by either data-driven approach or by human reasoning. And those data-driven approach will be the AI methods. Alright, so that is why we introduced the MOO. I think in projects you will use this a lot, but we will have programming difficulties. We can discuss more how to solve that. But if you use a weighted sum, you can directly turn that to a single objective. It's easier to solve. Right, so our initial target is to talk about stochastic as well, but I guess time is not sufficient because we want to keep some time to let you to really sit with your groups to discuss the topic, because it's also important you start to work on our topic earlier. So this part, I think we will, stochastic we will leave for next class. And we need to decide whether the quiz is next week or not, right? So for those who came late, this time we also use a Slido to try I have a survey there to understand if you want to do the quiz next week or next week. So if you want to express your opinion, you can go there because we respect your time and opinions. And also you can use a Slido to ask any questions. Because later on we will discuss the project, and if you have any questions, put it there, we can answer you. It's only effective for 1 week, so later on we won't be able to. Wow, I got 70 people, right? How good. Okay, I will log in to check the results, but you can take a 10 minutes break. Let's come back around 45.